And ladies and gentlemen, that sets us up for our very last panel discussion for this afternoon. And we really want to get to grips with the question of building resilience and access through renewable energy resources. And of course, we know the context by now. We know, of course, that there are commitments to hit net zero by 2050. In some countries, we've seen those commitments even before 2050. More importantly, we know that Africa has to be a part of this shift and not a mere observer. So, to lead us in this conversation, to really speak to the goals, the opportunities, and some of the challenges in the way, please help me welcome your moderator, Dr. Jouad Karaz, who is the Executive Director of the Regional Center for Renewable Energy and Energy Efficiency. Let's give him a round of applause. As he takes his seat, again, a final reminder to our online audience, we're still here with you. We still want to hear from you. Please send us your questions, your comments. And of course, if you're in the room, Dr. Karaz is going to try to the best of his ability to give you an opportunity to ask one or two questions. But for now, he's going to introduce his panel. Over to you, Dr. Karaz.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Welcome to the last session of today. We are talking about building resilience in Africa, but also the potential of renewable energy in Africa. We have an impressive lineup of speakers with us today. So we'll have 40 minutes, so it's a little bit short, but I will make sure that we will have your questions answered and very fruitful discussion. So as you know, all of us know the urgency of accelerating energy transition in Africa. We know that Africa contributes to less than 3.8% of the global emissions, but even though we are the most affected by the climate change impact, I'm happy, I think all of us are happy that that's the first day we included in the agenda the point of loss and damages. I think Africa, again, it's the most affected by loss and damages caused by the global emissions, that others contribute more to it. But at the same time, we need to look in Africa. We have a huge potential of renewable energy, and which is not untapped, is untapped. So how can finance, how can business contribute to, to concrete action? We are in the COP of implementation. We are in the COP of, concrete actions. So we will hear from business leaders and finance leaders, concrete actions. We will share some experiences. Probably at the beginning, we will also share some challenges. How can we overcome such challenges? And in particular, in Africa, we have some good success stories in Egypt, including Morocco, and, South Africa, Namibia, and Tunisia, in terms of the deployment of renewable energy, in terms of providing the right environment for business in these areas. But also, what is really, shocking is that I just saw last week the statistics or the figure of the International Energy Agency. We are talking about 715 million of people without access to electricity. So how we are talking already about exporting green hydrogen to Europe. Meanwhile, more than 700 million people without electricity. So how can we overcome this? How can we reach communities, rural and remote areas in Africa, and provide this access to electricity? So without further delay, I will invite our distinguished speakers to the stage. We have with us Mr. Fethi Hanshi, the CEO of the National Agency for Energy Efficiency, l'Agence nationale de maîtrise de l'énergie. Mr. Fethi Hanshi, please. We have also with us Ms. Mari Malu, General Manager, Corporate and Regulatory Services from Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen. Please welcome. We have also with us Mr. Brahim Benjelloun Touimi, Administrator and Executive General Director of Bank of Africa from Morocco. And finally, we have also Mr. Ahmed Chalabi, Chairman and CEO of Tatweer Masr from Egypt. Well, thank you very much again to our distinguished panelists. So if you allow me, if you could please, I will give 1 minute just to present yourself, 1 minute, and then we can proceed to the first questions. See, Fethi, if you could just قدم نفسك في less than 1 minute.
Fatih Al-Hanshi.
Mr. Fatih Al-Hanshi will speak in French. I will translate to English immediately.
Thank you. I kindly ask Fatih Al-Hanshi, directeur général de l'Agence nationale pour la maîtrise de l'énergie. J'étais à l'agence depuis plus de 25 ans. J'ai effectué l'essentiel de ma carrière à l'agence avec toutes les étapes d'évolution. Et donc, j'ai participé dans la plupart des réformes énergétiques en Tunisie et bien sûr, j'ai contribué à mettre en place les différents mécanismes qui ont donné des résultats vraiment très intéressants. Aujourd'hui, je suis à la tête de la NME dont mes prérogatives, c'est vraiment de mettre en place la politique de l'État en matière de transition énergétique.
Yeah, Mr. Fatih Al-Hanshi, as I said, is CEO of the National Agency of Energy Efficiency in Tunisia. He is one of the leaders of energy sector in Tunisia, more than 25 years of experience. I mean, contributed to the reform of the energy sector in Tunisia. Many success stories he can talk to us about, in particular energy efficiency, the deployment of renewable energy in legislative, financial reform in Tunisia. He has lead many projects and programs in the energy sector in Tunisia. Yeah, thank you very much, Mr. Fathi. Please, Ms. Mari.
Okay. Invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Mary Malu from Kengen. Kengen is Kenya Electricity Generating Company. I'm the general manager in charge of corporate and regulatory services. I started out as a finance expert, but over the years, I've transformed myself and transitioned into different fields outside finance and into leadership roles. I'm passionate about climate change and climate action. I'm also diversity mainstreaming champion, and currently in my company, the patron of Pink Energy Initiative. This is a forum created by the company to empower women in the company and create gender balance in the company because it is heavily an engineering company and women tend not to be represented, particularly in the leadership roles. I'm very happy to be in this forum, which is talking about resilience and what we can do together to overcome the climate change issue. So I'm very, very honored. If I may just tell you about my company briefly, Kengen is the leading electricity generator in East Africa, and most of the energy we generate is in the renewable space. And we would like to urge others to come onto partnerships to be able to develop more renewable energy. We are members of UN Global Compact since 2019, and we have also signed to the 1.5 degrees as a company, and we have also signed to science-based targets. So we are really, as a company, into this space, and we're very happy to be here. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hello, everyone. This is Ahmed Shalabi, founder, president, and CEO of Tatweer Masr for real estate development. So we are one of the companies who are responsible for 40% of carbon emissions. And this morning I heard it's even 44%. So we are one of those who are doing this damage to the planet. We started our company eight years ago. And currently we are developing 7.4 million square meter of land that should accommodate about 40,000 families by the year 2030. We are working in Egypt, and our developments will include schools, universities, hospitals, offices, retails, and hotels besides the residential units. I'm glad to be here, and our vision since our inception is to develop smart, sustainable, and happy communities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr.
Brahim Benjelloun Twimi. I am administrator and group executive managing director of a Pan-African group of Moroccan roots called Bank of Africa. present in 32 countries, among them 20 in Africa. We've been pioneer in sustainable finance. We are a universal bank, but we've been pioneer in sustainable finance in the name of corporate social responsibility. And we've taken a certain number of commitments, among them, of course, Equator Principles, the first African bank to be signatory of the UNEP-FI, but we are also adhering to the Equator Principles, the principles of responsible banking. We're founding member of the association of the African Business Leader Coalition. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So if you allow me, we'll start with Mr. Fath Al-Hanshi. As far as he has the last minute commitments, he needs to go, but we'll start with him. So Mr. Fath Al-Hanshi, could you please tell us a little bit about your efforts in INME in terms of the deployment of renewable energy, in terms of providing the right environment for business, for investment in the areas of renewable energy, energy efficiency, and climate resilience in Tunisia, and also giving the models to North African, in particular, North African countries.
Thank you, Dr. Kharaz. I will speak English.
I will translate.
Okay. Kindly translate my speech. En Tunisie, nous avons vraiment mené des instruments de promotion des énergies renouvelables très intéressants, que ce soit pour la production d'électricité ou pour le chauffage de l'eau. Actuellement, on parle de plus de 1 million de mètres carrés de chauffe-eau solaire et plus de 140 mégawatts de photovoltaïque installés dans les ménages tunisiens. C'est très important de mentionner ces chiffres parce que aujourd'hui, le secteur du bâtiment, il est la source de 60% de notre objectif climatique à l'horizon de 2030, et il va jouer un rôle très important dans notre politique de neutralité carbone à l'horizon de 2050. C'est très important parce que ce secteur-là, et surtout le secteur résidentiel, il couvre à la fois les aspects énergétiques, environnementaux, mais également sociaux, étant donné que ce secteur est le principal secteur consommateur de subventions de l'État à l'énergie, et le fait de basculer à l'énergie renouvelable, d'abord pour réduire les émissions, pour réduire le coût de l'énergie, mais également pour réduire la subvention de l'État à ce type d'énergie. Aujourd'hui, pour parler de la neutralité carbone à l'horizon de 2050, nous sommes obligés de passer par obligés d'augmenter la part de l'électricité dans notre consommation et ensuite promouvoir les énergies renouvelables. C'est pour cela aujourd'hui, dans un continent comme l'Afrique, où il y a beaucoup de disparités entre les différents pays, on n'a pas le même, en tant qu'occupant de ce continent, on n'a pas les mêmes conditions. Donc, en termes d'électrification, en termes d'accès à l'électricité, d'accès à l'énergie. Donc, il faut bien renforcer cet aspect, passer par l'étape intermédiaire de l'électrification des usages dans le secteur résidentiel et en temps masqué, promouvoir les énergies renouvelables. L'essentiel de l'expérience tunisienne dans ce domaine, c'est d'abord faciliter l'accès au financement, utiliser le poids de la subvention, voilà, les primes à l'investissement pour promouvoir les investissements dans le domaine des énergies renouvelables, et bien sûr utiliser les instruments chez la société d'électricité, la société d'électricité nationale, l'organisme public, utiliser le poids de cet organisme afin de mettre en place le mécanisme incitatif nécessaire. Globalement, il est vraiment possible de promouvoir les énergies renouvelables à très grande échelle dans les bâtiments, mais vraiment, il faut concevoir la solution adaptée au pays. On n'a pas une solution unique. C'est une mosaïque de solutions, donc il faut bien concevoir la solution pour ce pays-là en fonction des conditions, bien sûr, et de la situation de ce pays. Merci.
Thank you very much. Mr. Fasih Hanshi, in particular, he highlighted the importance of the sector of building. And he did a lot of effort in terms of increasing access to electricity and increasing energy efficiency in the building sector. So building sector is contributing by more than 39% of global emissions. And in Africa, with the population to be double by 2050, obviously that means more and more building and construction. So in Tunisia, they focus on that in a way that they work a lot of facilitating access to finance. This is very important. Also, in terms of subsidizing, how can they can convert subsidizing the sector in a way to increase investment in the deployment of renewable energy resources. Also, he mentioned, it's important also to focus on the socio-economic dimension of the subsidizing. So we need to take into consideration that when it comes to policies of encouraging more renewable energy in the country, in particular for domestic. Also, to achieve net zero by 2050, we need definitely to expand electrification in Africa. So at the same time, obviously, more deployment of renewable energy. We have obviously different situation in Africa, lots of contracts. So some countries with a lot of project ongoing. Some other countries still have a lot of problems of access to basic electricity. So we need also, I say that there is a portfolio of solutions. There is no unique solution, for everyone. So we need to diversify the solutions, customize it for every, country according to the local conditions. So this is the main, I think, heart of what he said. I hope I didn't forget something. So thank you very much, Mr. Fathi. So thank you very much. So you can leave at any time. So thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. So now I will, try to address, a common question to the three panelists. So in particular, first round of question, I'm gonna focus on, what are from your perspective, the challenges and the barriers you are facing, when it comes to investing or financing a renewable energy project or climate resilience project in Africa or different African countries, according to your experience in Egypt, Morocco, in Kenya, or other African countries. What are really the major, in your perspective, challenges, barriers, either institutional or either in terms of legislation or either in terms of how to access communities. So if we can hear a little bit from your perspective, these kind of challenges and barriers. Thank you very much. Can start with you, Maria.
Yeah, thank you for that question. In Kenya, we are facing a number of challenges when implementing renewable energy projects, and I'm sure this cuts across not only Africa but the globe. One of the challenges we have is, of course, the climate change itself, because as we build like hydro plants, like in our country, we rely a lot on hydro. Uh, then the climate has changed. We are seeing increasingly rainfall patterns changing, which means we cannot no longer have enough water for hydro generation. So what has brought us here to Egypt, which is climate change, is itself a challenge in our country. Secondly, is financing, and financing has a number of issues. One is the fact that energy projects require a lot of capital. They're capital intensive, and not many financiers are willing or able to provide the financing. And this is worsened by the fact that uh, construction risk is regarded high, so some financiers do not want to finance energy projects because of the construction risk involved. My company and country is, for instance, involved in geothermal drilling. Geothermal is power from the ground, heat from the ground, which means we have to drill 3 kilometers down to get the resource, and that requires an enormous amount of money. And because of the risk involved, because you can drill and find a dry well, you can drill and it doesn't translate to cash flows immediately. Most financiers shy away from investing in such. So financing is a challenge. In addition to the money, the quantum of money required, the process of arranging financing from inception all the way to achieving financial close, closing conditions, precedents, and all, it takes a lot of time. So financing is a major issue in development of renewable resources. I would identify the other challenge as the expertise required in renewable energy, because previously in our country, we were used to thermal plants using fossil fuels and hydro plants. Now we find ourselves in new space of the renewables, the solar, the wind, and we do not have adequate capacity in terms of expertise to develop those renewables. So again, we have to keep training and retraining, reskilling our people to be able to take up and implement green energy projects like the solar and the wind. And lastly, on these challenges, I would just like to highlight the lead time it takes to develop power projects. Like, for example, a geothermal project, which is using heat from the ground, will take not less than 7 years to develop, because you require about 3 years to drill deep down the earth to get the steam out on the surface, and another 3 years minimum to develop and construct the power plant. So in total, as a minimum, about 6 to 7 years. And this is a very long period. And by that time, the companies are not realizing any cash flows, are just spending and spending and spending. And that becomes a challenge in how fast and how many companies can develop the geothermal. The good thing is that we have a lot of potential in Africa which can be developed. In Kenya alone, we have 10,000 megawatts geothermal potential, but we need financing and expertise and support to be able to exploit this. Yeah, thank you. I'll stop at that point. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Now let's hear from Tatweer. I mean, what's the challenges that you are facing, and in the same, I mean, how you engage, I mean, in financing or deployment of renewable energy project. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the question, and I'll start by briefly talking about the general scene in Egypt since 2014, because Egypt is doing a great urban development, huge urban development plan to develop the urban area from 7% to 14%, to double the urban area. So there is a huge need for new cities in Egypt to accommodate the population growth. And one good thing that the government and the leadership decided that all the fourth generation, as we call it, fourth generation new cities to be smart. So along with that vision, in Tatweer Masr, we decided to develop smart, sustainable, and happy communities. And we decided to do that to create better quality of life for our residents. For sure, as a company and as a country, we are totally aware of the challenges and risks that are facing the whole world today, especially in our region. So I think we managed to adopt several applications and initiatives related to sustainability in general. But when it comes to renewable energy, there are huge challenges. For me, these challenges are the lack of regulations and actually proper regulatory bodies. Maybe thanks for the COP27, because in preparation for the COP27, Egypt has decided to approve several initiatives and several laws and regulations to help with that transformation. The second thing is the lack of incentives for the private sector. There is no clear incentives scheme for the private sector to help with this huge investment. The third challenge that and this is something common everywhere, that renewable energy needs vast resources, whether land or huge investments that are not available all the time. The last two challenges are awareness, related to awareness. So I believe there is a huge lack of awareness, whether for the community or for the clients, about the cost and benefit of sustainability, whether now or in the future. And this is really important. Finally, the lack of awareness for us as a private sector on the green finance mechanisms and applications and resources. And this is one of the reasons I'm personally here in COP27. I want to learn more about green finance and how to get access to green finance. So, despite all these challenges, what we have done in the last 8 years, we invested 250 million US dollars in our developments and creating smart and sustainable communities. We invested in smart infrastructure, smart electricity system, smart irrigation, smart metering system, a smart waste management system. We invested in water treatment plants. We invested in water desalination plants. We invested in smart mobility system. And the results of these investment, that we are expecting 50% decrease in water consumption and energy consumption. And we are expecting 30 to 40% decrease in the facility management bills for our clients. And most importantly, we are expecting better quality of life for our clients. So we managed to do that. But in order to take the further step and go into the renewable energy, we need to overcome the challenges, because renewable energy is really important, and we have an ambition plan to even develop renewable energy for all the public services in our developments. As I said, we are specialized in large scale integrated mixed use developments. So if we can provide renewable energy at least for the public areas, that will make huge difference. And this is our next step. And I think if we manage to get the right finance, as Ayman was talking in his speech about the savings with the green finance, if we manage to learn about that and get access to that, I think this will make a huge difference. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Very important insights indeed. I mean, when we talk about deployments of renewable energy, its impacts on different kind of sectors. I mean, we are talking more and more about nexus. What's the energy, food, ecosystem, climate nexus? So, for example, in Africa, with the huge potential of solar, I read the figure that 6 to 14 millions of hectares could be cultivated, could be, allocated to agriculture, producing food. Food systems could be transformed totally with the potential of renewable energy. So all what you mentioned, desalination, wastewater treatment plants, the whole food value chain. I think a renewable energy project could really contribute to transforming these areas. So because not only we are suffering from access to electricity in Africa, but also from hunger. So we are only 8 years from 2030, and we have 20% of people in Africa suffering from hunger. So thank you very much for this insight. So now I would love to hear from Bank of Africa. I know you are present in a good number of countries.
Africa, 20 in
20,
Africa.
20 countries.
And 32 overall.
Apart from over the world. So I'm sure that you have really a very good overview of the main challenges and obstacles. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We are a private financial group, and we have a track record for the last 7 years in financing renewable. Let's talk about opportunities through the track record that we have. If we had to keep in mind some figures, we have been financing near 200 corporate in Africa, in Morocco and Africa, and we saved through this financing 1.7 million tons of carbon. That gives an idea. Alors, what are the strategy behind what we try to do? First, if we talk about the large corporate, we've been part of the financing of wind farms, of solar farms, and Morocco is really leading in this field in many parts of Morocco. These wind farms and solar farms. This is the renewable energies, indeed. There are also desalination. Well, And these overall led us to this saving of 1.7 million tons of carbon. Right. But we are a universal group, financial group. If we want that this cause of climate action evolves, we have to tackle the private sector and even the individual SMEs. And the track record we had for the last 7 years have been very encouraging, actually. Why? I think the secret, if I may say, of this success have been has been partnership, partnership, and partnership. This issue is not the issue of the private sector alone. It's not the issue of the MDBs alone, not the issue of bilateral financial institutions alone. It's a collective action. And we have experienced that through energy efficiency products that have been sold and exhausted in Morocco, for example, thanks to the fact that it was blended finance. It was not outright funds. We helped our customers to adapt themselves to a new way of producing by helping them to embark in this new technology, a new energy efficiency. How? Because there was advice, because there was capacity building, because there was subsidies, not outright money. And this, we were not we bankers offering us alone. It is because we partnered with all these partners that we weighed down on the cost and we said to the customer, we are the one stop shop for you. Don't think of anything but coming to us. And when we connect you with those who will be building capacity with you. And we were really happy to have partnered with EIB, EBRD, the French AFD, with the German KfW. I think opportunities are here. And I don't want to be pompous. I have already expressed this idea yesterday before you, Sanda, and all those of the African Business Leaders Coalition. I'm very proud to be, as Bank of Africa, to be member of. We have to think of a new shape of finance around this idea of partnership and a blended finance. We cannot ask mature markets or investors, please help Africa. No, come and do business, Africa. Come and see profitable business in Africa, in renewable, in water. It is profitable. And for that, there is a bunch of engineering that bankers, merchant bankers, of people from NGOs, and all partnering all together to structure products which will be readable to investors in terms of maturity, in terms of documentation, so that, we will find an investor saying, okay, it looks like the products I am used to. Okay, it's invested in Africa. That's okay. Document is good for me. He doesn't have to. I'm sorry to say that. I'm a banker with a lot of values and a lot of ethics, but don't talk to financiers and to bankers telling them to do business at the same time being philanthropists. They will tell you, I give you a budget of philanthropy. Don't ask me to be a philanthropist by doing business. But if products and solutions look like what they are used to, he will be even happy and happier to know that he will be doing good business and doing good. So this is the experience we have, and we very much encourage. There are opportunities, and I think the coalition to which we are now belonging could be going on in this kind of advocacy, and maybe taking advantage of what happened in the world that no one predicted. This new 21st century, which started, in my opinion, now. As much as I said the 20th century started after the World War One. And let's think of this, and this COP27, this COP in general, could be this opportunity to disrupt the thinking and all partner in order to frame this new development model also for Africa and for the rest of the world.
Thank you so much, Mr. Benjelloun, because you not only answered my question, but also the second question that was expected, the opportunities. So you highlighted the importance of PPP, public-private partnership with all the actors, and also blended financing, capacity building, working together with others. We cannot finance big infrastructure project like desalination plant or renewable energy plant, etc., without the partnership such a PPP model or others, blended financing, and also tapping not only on local financing but also international financial institutions. There are finance, as mentioned already by Mr. Also Shalabi, that there is financing, but sometimes difficulty to access to this finance, to green finance. So I think we need to do an effort also to train how to access to this green finance, etc. So for the matter of time, I will ask Ms. Malu. She didn't get the occasion to talk more about the opportunities from your company perspective. So what are the opportunities and the action that you think that we need to take immediately? After this COP, to tap on the potential of building resilience and building a new renewable energy projects and just energy transition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that question. I start off by just echoing the partnerships issue. Um, as a strategy and in line with SDG number 17 on partnerships, this is the way to go, where companies, where governments, where countries can come together to help each other exploit their potential in developing renewable resources. I'm very proud to say, as Kengen, my company, is already doing this and taking advantage of partnerships. We are helping neighboring countries, particularly Ethiopia and Djibouti, where we are exporting our expertise in geothermal resource development, because we are quite advanced in geothermal development, and we are helping those two countries. Already, we have our teams in Ethiopia and Djibouti doing drilling for other companies there. So partnerships is the way to go, because then working alone, you don't walk far, but if you don't walk, you can walk fast, but not far. But if you work with others, then we can exploit the synergies of working together. So I would like to underscore partnerships. Secondly, Africa is endowed with a lot of resources, solar almost all year round, a lot of big rivers. If you think of rivers around the Congo forest, the Nigers, and others, we have a lot of water. We have geothermal all along the Rift Valley, right from the Red Sea going down to Mozambique. There's a lot of geothermal potential, and therefore I see development of that potential of renewable resources is a big and huge opportunity to be developed. Therefore, parties coming together can exploit that opportunity. Yeah, Africa itself presents a big market for goods and services, and these goods and services will require energy to be produced. So the fact that the African market itself, the population is huge, it presents an opportunity to develop more geothermal, more solar, more energy, generally renewable resources, because then the activities have to be powered by electricity. And lastly, I see just of the major ones, I see interconnectivity within the African countries, interconnectivity of the grids. I see that as a big opportunity. Already in Kenya, we are connected to Ethiopia. We have an interconnection to Uganda, but those just two countries. We have very many other countries. And if the countries are interconnected, then there can be ease in exporting power. Those countries that do not have enough power can tap it from the neighboring countries. And this can be replicated not just in the East African region, but also in the other African regions. And there is no reason whatsoever why in Africa we cannot have one interconnected grid, which will ensure that there's no country that will suffer from lack of electricity when another country has excess electricity. So I would also underscore interconnectivity of the grids, electricity grids in Africa. And this will support the whole debate about universal access, because we cannot again talk about universal access when we are acting as silos. Each country has its own grid, serving its own small population, and here we are talking about universal access. This universal access needs to be supported by interconnectivity, by partnerships, by working together, and all that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Malo, for highlighting the potential of, the need to have great interconnection between the African countries. So, very last words from Mr. Shalabi before probably we can pick quick questions or two, three questions if the time allows. No. So let's see, Mr. Shalabi, if you could really briefly.
Yeah, I'll try to be brief about the opportunities and actions. I think opportunities, Africa is rich in natural resources, and most importantly, wind and sun. Africa is rich in sun exposure. Africa is rich in young population. Egypt is rich in young population and young talents. They need the proper education and they need the proper job opportunities that could be created through renewable energy. And finally, the strategic partnerships. We did that in our company. We had a strategic partnerships with Schneider, Huawei, Orange, who helped us to develop a real smart and sustainable developments. Actions, the first action after the session to get Mr. Ibrahim business card to discuss how to can get help with the finance. But I think the main action is that what we have done over the last year as a real estate development company, we got engaged into preparing a carbon footprint emissions report for our offices and for one of our developments, El Monte Galala. It's a flagship development. And we prepared this report a year ago based on 2021 numbers. And we have taken scientific based targets with a GHG report to allow us to reduce the carbon footprint emissions by 42% until the year 2031. And we are doing that. And hopefully we'll be able to reach the zero carbon by 2050. I think by the help of the UN Global Compact, and we are happy to be partners in the COP27, by the help of the UN Global Compact to introduce us to the right partners and to shape our efforts into the right direction. This help will make a big difference for our future plans into developing smart, sustainable new cities. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shalabi, for this very ambitious Tatweer, perspective. So I think for the matter of time, can we pick one question or it's already over? All right, maybe one question. Yeah, only one question. If you have a question on the floor, please go ahead.
Je ne sais pas si je vais parler en français ou bien. My English is very, 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 yes, basic. Yes. I'm Mamoudou Ouedraogo from Burkina Faso. This is a great opportunity for me because here I want to see the side event like this because I'm in one organization who encourage civil society, countries, and like the organization like yours to go to the sustainable to use renewable energy. And you can see this medal, and when you see it, we ask to act on climate by using wind and how we call it solar. And when I understand that speech, it is about this one. And I'm very happy to be here. And I'm glad to, if you authorize me, to give some medal to all of your panelists to tell them that I'm very happy and we are together and we hope that Africa have to go like using wind and solar to improve energy, renewable energy in Africa. I think my English, you get me? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, the medal is here. I have it here. I can give them to